Hey guys, as promised, I'm going to give you guys an insight into the project for I'm Done. Um, it released 2 days ago, I believe, something like that. Anyway, again, sorry for the delayed release. I've been stuck um, with some album work with an artist and stuff like that. You know how that goes. But I'm gonna give you an insight. So I guess I'll start with just how this song began. I think I was in the shower and I was just taking a shower before work, and suddenly this like piano progression and like a like vocal melody like got stuck in my head. So I quickly like jumped out of the shower and got my laptop and put in this very basic piano riff or whatever you call it. And I think if you see right here, um, those were my original lyrics. When I was just like jotting things down, but I totally left those off. You should have seen all the vocal takes I did trying to do those. It was terrible. But so yeah, so that was my basic piano. That was my basic piano idea. And then after that, I decided, oh, I want to work on this. So an hour early for work, I decided to go out to my favorite coffee shop and just jot down like the basic ideas and kind of build out the production a little bit more on the song. So I spent a few hours there because that work let me go, like not fire me, but like they said they didn't need me that day. So I went and I spent a few hours just working on all the production, and after that, I just formed the idea into a fully morphed song, and then I went out to my studio with my friend, with my cousin, and he did the acoustic and electric guitars, and then after that, we were done. But let's just go from main instrument down, vocals, everything, and just break down kind of what I did, what this production is, and then um, show you the song, and then I'll shut up. Yeah, so this basic piano, um, just an EQ taking out the highs and the lows, and then really boosting the mids. I think the piano really lives in like the mids, so I try to always emphasize that. And then I just wanted this like softer, like felt piano sound. So um, let's go without the EQ and then with, and see the difference. You can see it doesn't do a lot, but it really just kind of shapes the sound in a subtle way. And so after that, compressor, a reverb. I did this. It's not doing a lot of like drive and stuff, but I think the main thing I wanted from this was just to give it some tape saturation sound that it was missing. And I'm still a folk guy at heart, so even though I did do like this like poppy alternative song, I still like the folk roots of like tape machines and all of that. So I did tape cassette two, and that just added a little bit of flutter, saturation, all that, and then echo, another thing, and then just kind of ended it out with another tape saturation. So let me show you without the plugins and then with, and you'll see how much sound design was on this thing. I honestly don't know how much. So it looks to me like the main sound, the main thing plugin that gave it its sound was the Chroma Glow at the end with 40% drive, retro tube, colorful, obviously, and then like a high cut. And I think that just kind of cut out everything above 2400 hertz. So it really suppressed the sound. But yeah, so that's my main piano. And then I built it out with my favorite like bass piano sound in all of Logic, which is the I think that's an I95 Chronicle piano. And you see, I'd even shape the sound. All I did was a tape cassette and then the basic tape delay that they use on it. You see, I didn't do like a staccato, but I did like dun, dun. So that kind of just impacts like the hits. So this is it together. Yeah, so I think it just emphasizes the hits and everything, and you can kind of hear it, um, you know, doing his job. Obviously, that's what you want. And then I'm not sure what this does. Oh, and then I process the crud out of this one and kind of let it sit in the background, almost like a pad. But again, just playing the same piano part as the first one. So these are the three pianos together. Yeah, so it just like it acts almost like a pad, um, in this sense. And then over here we have another I95 piano. And that one kind of just moves around in the field and really just adds a sense of space. And I did that with the mic- micro phaser. I think that's what it is. And just 50 hertz, 20% feedback, all that. Um, and then this one, this one is seriously just like a pad that I used as a piano in the background. And I just did a crazy space D thing. You can see how drenched that thing is. That thing is soaked in reverb. And then another in sound drunk. Another tape cassette. I think I used tape cassette on almost everything, especially my vocals on this one. So we have that, and then we have the riser, which the tape cassette and the channel EQ did a lot for that one to really shape the sound. Oh. So that's it before, and then this is it after. It adds some like crunchiness, and then I think I took out all the highs and all the lows. Yeah, 500 and then 2000 for that. And then for the tape cassette, saturation 24 dB, like that maxed out. I took down the low pass a little bit, added the noise, and then the wow and the flutter really added the height it was missing. So I did that and then panned all the way left, and then I did the second riser, the same thing, but after the second verse, and I did that all the way right. And then we've got these, which these are like the synths that kind of like emphasize the hits, like dun, dun. So let me show you that. Yeah, so let me show you that with all of the pianos. So you can hear the small little ding. So that's what that does, and I like that. I like that a lot, actually. That kind of brought the song alive for me because I think when I put this in, I know I was at the coffee shop. I think all I had were all of these pianos, and I didn't even have like a vocal idea at that point. I didn't have the risers, so I was just trying to find a way to like elevate the song, and I just added these, and it really brought it to life. I like that. Um, so, oh, excuse me, sorry, that's disgusting. Um, and then I did this for. I wanted to do like a post chorus that kind of like broke down the entire song and kind of like you wouldn't you wouldn't expect it, like you'd expect it to go right into a second verse, but then I kind of like broke it down and I processed like the living daylights out of that thing. So this is the organ before, and then I'll show you after. Yeah, and that delay was crazy. I mean, let me pull up the settings. I don't even know what I did, but yeah, that delay was crazy. I don't know what I did. I mean, it was still going. Um, huh. I don't remember pulling this up at all. Yeah, I think I just did like the warp setting and then the up down. So bear with me. Oh, okay. This is. So I mean, it sounds okay. Yeah. So I don't know. It sounded like a plane was flying there for a second, but yeah, that was crazy. But yeah, so that added a lot, and then I just did like the piano plugs with like the pads, and let me solo that out and then show you together. If I'm not mistaken, I think I did like octaves on that so that they would kind of like clash together. And then with the organ, it's not like a lot, you know, like it doesn't make a huge difference, but adds something. I think in the overall mix, you can't really hear them, but I think it's just another layer where it's like Phineas says, it's better felt than heard. So that's a nice thing that kind of just drives rhythm, adds some percussion, I guess, you know? And that's just something I added in. And then I did the lo-fi tape upright for the bass, and um, all I did was copy and paste like the whole song's like keyboard part, and then I just did the um the bottom note of all the chords. And I think I brought it down an octave for it to be more like a bass, and then I just boosted all of the I boosted all of the lows, and then I like to I like to boost the mids in my bass because it adds a lot of like string noise that makes it just sound like a real bass. Let me show you before and then after with the mid boost. you could hear how suddenly you could hear like the vibration of the string as soon as I hit on that. So yeah, so that's just a personal thing I like to do with my bass, whether it's real or fake, but especially if it's a fake like synth bass like this, so that add I can bring out as much reality from that bass as possible. And that's what we all want as producers, is like the real deal. And I do have access to a real bass, and I'm a bass player myself. I can play bass, but there's something about like a synth bass in a pop song that just, it's alluring, I guess. But yeah, so that's it for the bass. I mean, I didn't do a lot. I did a 2BQ to boost some of the highs. I think it added some, I did like the picked bass, so it adds a lot of punch, and you can hear a lot of like this the string hit. So all that. I love the 2BQ to add like a little film of saturation, and then just to boost some highs that like naturally come from like an analog tube EQ, and then a compressor, tape delay, and then like a spring reverb that doesn't do a lot, but just add something. I don't like to put reverb on my bass. I like it to be like really dry, but apparently not this time. I'll skip down from the. I did the acoustic guitar. This one was a DI guitar, and I had my cousin Charlie, which played the guitar at the studio, and I had him like just play it like through the chords, and I had to, of course, like cut it up really bad and timeline it so that everything kind of like fit, and it felt like I wanted it to be more of a percussive element than something that was like a melodic choice. But here's it dry, and then with all of my stuff. And I'll show you the thing that made it really special and really made it pop in the song, the plugin I used. Dang, that's quiet. I didn't. So the plugin I used was a stock plugin. It's a, what's that called? Evoc 20 filter bank, and what I did was just like a soft phase, but what I originally had it at was -40 in the left ear, and just like had it sit there. But once I added that and did the little phase bank or the filter bank thing, then it suddenly started like floating around like this area right here, and it just added a lot of like wonder of like, where's that coming from? Like, it's not sitting just perfectly in my ear. So that was something that was really cool. It really brought the guitar to life, so I really liked that. And it worked well for the song. And then I did a couple of loops from just like Logic loops that you could find like right here, and I found one, just I looked for like slide guitars that were like in like the key of the song, and I found this, so I cut it up and I kind of had it like sit there with the rest of the song. And then the only really thing that I did um to shape its tone, I think, was that with this one I wanted it to go a step down. So all I did was I did a pitch corrector, and then I like pushed it down like a little bit. It didn't really do much. Like in context, I probably should have just left it and it probably would sound the same. But I don't know. It add anytime you put pitch corrector on, it always adds like a film of like fakeness. So I think either way, it shaped the tone of the song of the guitar. And then one thing that's really cool is that I did this. I did do this one at the coffee shop, like really early in the production. So let me show you solo this. It was just like a melodic idea that I had, and then I turned it into a synth with all the plugins I used. So let me show you it, and then I'll go through the plugins and you'll see how I shaped it. System overload. What? Stop it. Okay, and then do. Oh, bro. Let me just show you the after part and see if that stops. Stop. Well, that's as much as you're gonna hear from it, but um, I guess I'll walk you through the plugins then. All I did was a basic EQ that cut out all the highs, all the lows. I do that a lot in like background elements and ear candy stuff, just so that it makes space for all of the guitars, the piano, and on the other side the kick drum and the bass. So I do that, and then of course I had to boost some of the highs, and then did some saturation, made it like a tube thing, made it silky. I don't know, I have no idea what that did, but then I added some drive, of course. Compressor, just basic acoustic guitar compressor with a vintage compressor, and then I did like a wet reverb. Tape cassette, of course, it added some like wobbliness and flutter, and then I did a chorus, and then a chroma verb that kind of just did like a synth reverb that you do on like a pad or something. And then I did the same thing, but like in the last part with a classic clean, and then I did with like an electric guitar thing. So I did this left and then that one right, and it really filled it out. And all right, and then let's get into the real stuff. I love drums. So let me show you my drum setup for this. First, by showing you this. So I did do the Logic drummer with an R&B kit, but I didn't do it the way you would. I did it manual. So I did boom 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 boom. So let's hear this whole thing without any of the stuff. Anyway, when I was in the studio showing Charlie, my cousin, the song, he's a drummer too. So I showed him like the drum thing and saw like, do you have anything to say about it? Is there anything like you would change? He was like, okay, we'll do this beat instead of the one I did before, because I think I did a boo ba boo ba boo boo ba ba or something like that. And anyway, he switched it up, and great decision because it works way better in the song and it just has more of a groove. And then the other thing I did was just I did the same thing, same basic processing, except for the EQ I did all of the highs and all of the lows. So this one sits in the background of the set, of the real set, until I let it go in the outro. But so that's there, and then I did a live tambourine into this mic right here. Also in the studio, we have a live tambourine. So this is it before and then after. So in the background, my cousin was trying out like a guitar part that he could do for the song while I was recording it. So I did noise gate it, but you can still hear him plugging his electric guitar through the amp. So I think that's funny. That's something I kept. And then this is it after, super processed. And then I did some stuff with the snare that I had in the first verse, which I'll show you later, not right now, but so that all in with like all of the drums. This is like the whole thing. One thing I did that was very interesting was this little thing. Um in all, I think this was like a whole like topper loop in just like the Logic loops, and I found it when I was like looking through loops, thinking of seeing if I could add any like percussive elements, and I think that was like the day before I was supposed to release the song, and I was just looking through things and I found this loop. Oh, sorry, my bad. But I like that one little so I just brought it all the way back until I had that one part that I liked. And I think it was like this, yeah, this African like drum loop, and then this is it without any processing. So it's just a little bit too many highs for the kind of drum thing I was going for, which was like heavily distorted, very low heavy drums, and then I added a grit. This is supposed to be for like an electric guitar, but I just filtered it through the distortion in the filter. And then I did tape cassette, of course, and then this, which again, I'll filtered out highs and lows, and then I wanted to hit right after the hi-hat did this like open set thing. So this is where it fit like with the drums. So that was just a nice little like ear candy thing that I did, and it was really nice. That was a nice ear candy thing that I did that I thought was really nice. And then I did some cool like um I did some cool like electronic like drum pattern. And I did this like the night before I was doing it. I think I was trying to finish my final mix and master on the song, and I just thought like some drums were missing in like the first part. So I added some of these samples from like a pack that I downloaded, and this is it. And then that just went into the like pre-verse. But yeah, so that was really nice. So I layered up 3 drum sounds I did this basic snare sound that you just heard in like the other section of the drums. And I added like a lot of like reverb processing. Oh, I didn't do any reverb. Okay. Well, this is it without its EQs. Yeah, just too much highs. Too many highs. You can already tell. Like it just hits different. So I did that and then I layered it with like with this like wooden clank sound. I think it added like a nice percussive element to the snare, but also just like it had more like hit than everything else. So those two layered together, yeah, it just adds a nice like hit to the snare that was kind of missing. And then I layered it with this clap. Again, adds a hit to the snare, and I didn't do any processing on that, so all of them together. Yeah. And then just like the classic like EDM pop like kick. And then I did this like hi-hat thingy where I did this, doubled it up, tripled it up at the end, and that's just like it. So yeah, just like basic stuff. And then I did a vocal sample. It was like the pecking opera vocal sample that I found again in Logic samples. I use that for everything when I just need something cool. So I found this and I layered it up like in right here. I layered it up in like the last in the last chorus, and it sounds like this without any processing. And I'll go through my list. Um, a guy that I showed this to before I released it said that it sounded like a Kendrick Lamar sample, but I don't know. I don't really listen to his stuff. And then this is it with all of its processing. So that's really cool. I liked how that turned out. And then all I did with this one, like at the very end, was just filter out all the highs. And there's the same exact processing otherwise. So did that. Let me show you the where is it like the true tape. Where is it? To be tape. There it is. Okay, this is the electric guitar that my cousin did for the last chorus. So let me show you without any processing. I swear I use way too many plugins, but here it is. One more. Yeah, so that plays in the background and that's really cool. Hold on a sec, I'm gonna let in my cat. Thanks. My cat's being a butt. Anyway, I think there's one more thing to show you, and that is the clap that I did at the end of the song. And let me show you it. This was another thing that I found when I was looking for like new percussion stuff. And here's what I came up with. So too poppy for my taste. So I really wanted to add just something extra. So this is it with processing. So yeah, so that added a lot. I mean, that really just broke the song wide open for me from a production standpoint. And then once I mixed it, I mean, that just added so much. It really broke it wide open. Um, and then let me show you my. Uh-huh. Anyway, let me show you my basic like vocal processing stuff. So this is it, like dry. Really thankful. Really thankful. Oh no, why is that not? Oh yeah, that's better. Guess I'm pretty thankful. And then for de-esser, I just used the basic de-esser they got. For my EQ, I filter out just a lot of the muddy frequencies, a lot of the mids and stuff, and then I just boost the highs like crazy. That's my first EQ that I go through that really just cleans up the vocal before it gets to the compressor, which I use. I use the same compression amount of compression on both, but I just switch the two like types of vintage compressors. And then for this one, for the second EQ, again just like cleaning it up, making sure that there are no like muddy frequencies, and then boost the highs again, all that. I usually love adding like a good tape delay, like Joe Keery's music, just love doing that. And then a basic Space D, again basic like tape saturation, another de-esser just to make sure that the reverbs I added aren't like adding to the S sounds, making them too sharp. So after that I just go through, and then another just analog EQ, and then pitch correction after all of that to fix up, make sure I'm in the right key, all that. And then this is it after. Guess I'm pretty thankful. I went for a really processed vocal sound for this one just because it felt like the song was asking for it after all of the production was done. So that's why it sounds a little weird. Like that's not how I sing, but at the end of the day, I mean, it sounds great to me, and that's all that matters, is that your music sounds good to you. So let me end by playing through the whole song, and then I'll shut up. Guess I'm pretty thankful for everything I have. This never makes sense. I can't. Okay, well, it's not gonna let me do that. So you guys got to hear 1/3 of the song. Please listen to it. It's gonna be out on all streaming services soon. and I put a lot of work into this, about 2 weeks of production, all that. And thank you for tuning in, and I hope I didn't bore you. Please listen to the song and support me. I'll have new music coming out soon. Signing off.